Hey everyone, I'm Steve Morris, and this is the All Freedom giveaway engine. So remember, $5 entries. So all you have to do is purchase a t-shirt, stickers, anything off of our apparel site, and for every $5 purchase, you get one entry. Interesting to note, we've only got little under 2,000 orders. So you're basically, your odds right now of winning this engine are like 1 in 2,000 so far. That's pretty good odds for something like this. But anyways, remember that. And now I wanted to answer some questions for you guys that you guys have been asking about the All Freedom engine. Okay, first question is, what kind of power could this setup make if boosted? Okay, see, I'm reading this question live, so there you go. Did not read any of these questions beforehand, so maybe I'll have to do that. But let me think about this. So basically this is about a 1,500 horsepower combination. Would it make 1,500 horsepower? Yes. It would be a camshaft change, and have to go to either a boosted carburetor, blow-through carburetor, or EFI. So either one of those. So it would make in that, this would be the same engine basically as we would use in a 1,500 horsepower boosted. Okay, next question. How do you measure the clearance of the cam button? Normally, if I was if I needed to know the exact number on it, you'd put a indicator at the back of the camshaft, bolt all the front together, move the camshaft back and forward with an indicator on the back of the cam with a cam plug out. That's how you would do it. The way I did it in the video is, I've been doing this for so long, I can just tell you how much the clearance is, probably within less than 5 thousandths. So since that's not a super critical number, it just needs to have clearance. It needs to have, 5 would be absolute minimum. 10 is pretty much close to the normal, 15-ish, right around there. 20 is starting to get pretty big. So I can just tell what it is by moving it and looking at it. What assembly lube do you use? Or I'm sorry, what assembly lube are you using with the greenish bottle? That is an Engine Pro brand high pressure assembly lube. Just high zinc formula, normal stuff. The cam you said was 110 but installed at 108. What is the advantage from advancing versus retarding the cam timing? Wow, that's a very deep question that is not easy to answer. Long story short, advanced, very basic. I do have a camshaft video specifically oriented towards what this all does on the Steve Tech videos in the playlist section on YouTube. So you can learn a lot there, but long story short, advancing the camshaft generally picks up a little bit of bottom end. Retarding the camshaft generally picks up top end. Camshafts that we do are typically made to be advanced some. It has to do with the offset intake, has to do with a lot of different things designed in the Lube. That would take me about a half hour, 40 minutes to explain. That's why it's on a whole separate video. Silicone for head gaskets, is it necessary? This is a Cometic style head gasket, the multi-layer steel, and usually we just put a little bit of silicone up here at the corners just to make sure it seals up well and you don't have any oil leaks. In general, no. If you want to put silicone on around water ports, just very thin, like, spread it with your finger kind of thin, go ahead. Does not do any damage, any harm, unless you use so much silicone that it fills up your oil pan because you used a whole tube on one engine. Okay. What are you setting the plug gap to? Oh, yep. Plug gap on this is 35. So pretty common. You're going to have about 30-35 thousandths of plug gap on an NA motor. The higher the horsepower / higher the cylinder pressure / boosted engines, keep on going down in plug gap. We'll run 10 thousandths of plug gap on the big high horsepower, like 4,000 horsepower and above type stuff. Next question. What brand is the engine stand? Oh, that engine stand. This engine stand is actually a cheap, I think we got these from Jegs, a little rollover fixture. The really nice engine stands that I got are from RCR stands. Does a dog come with the engine? No. Love my dog, so you can't have the dog. And he would irritate the crap out of you so bad you'd want to send him back anyways. How often to check the valve lash? Oh, that's a good question. In general, I always remember this because I do have another valve lash video on. Speak of the devil, here comes dog right now. Heard his name. The I do have a valve lash video, and on the valve lash video, and I'll explain this real quick, is the only thing you're checking valve lash for or changing valve lash for, you're just checking to see if everything's okay. And you're checking to see if anything's broke. So, in all reality, I would probably, on something like this, we would lash it up probably every few hundred miles. And in all reality, this kind of engine, it's not like you are legitimately driving an hour each way back and forth to work. Because actually, if you were, you probably just check your valve lash once a week kind of thing. But I would check it probably every few hundred miles, and you're just checking to make sure everything's fine. If something is majorly different, don't adjust it. Figure out what changed, what's wrong, what happened, what's broke. Okay? Because regardless, this isn't some stock POS 350 Chevy. This is a good all around 800 horsepower drive across the country, but you have to do a little bit of maintenance. It's not like a brand new Corvette or some stock C10 truck. It's just it is still a performance engine and a really good one. So you got to do a little bit of maintenance. Just check your stuff, make sure everything's right. Anything can break. Parts break all the time. If you don't want it to break, don't make any horsepower. Good golden rule. Okay. Next is shaft mount rockers need relashed every race day. That's not true. But stand mount rocker and girdle setup is pretty much good to go. Indefinitely? Question mark. Nope, just explain that. The shaft mount rocker arms are exactly the same way. So on our drag week cars, those things are shaft mount rocker arms. I check the valve lash once a day on drag week, but that's after we've driven it 200 miles, 300 miles, plus making passes at the track. And in general, that's just to make sure everything's cool, everything's right. We don't have any problems. So the shaft mount versus stud mount, no difference. You're still just checking them, and it's a matter of complete valve train geometry and how good stable stuff is and how well it was set up. Since this was set up right, it should be good. Next one is power loss from accessories, alternator, water pump, stuff like that. In general, if you put a mechanical water pump on it, the water pump is really, really minimal. It's usually the fan that you would have on it. So if you didn't have and I wouldn't ever recommend fans on something, mechanical fans that run 7,500 RPM. It's a good way of dying. So I would, electric fan, water pump, maybe a 5. Alternators under full load, an alternator will probably take, I bet you an alternator probably, I don't know this number exactly, probably would take 20, because you can hear it'll lug a motor down. So even a motor like this, you'll hear it make a change note, so it'll lug it. 20, that sounds about reasonable. Last question I have here is a thermostat. Would we run a thermostat in this? Yeah, if you run a thermostat, we'd like to see this engine temperature. I like to see stuff be in that 160 to 180 range. Everyday driver, all that kind of stuff. If it gets up to 200 because it's really hot where you live, I mean, it's fine. You're not going to do any damage. Really don't want to see it over 210. 220 is getting way up there. So don't want to see anything like that. If I was to put a thermostat in it, I put a 160-degree thermostat in it. If you want to run no thermostat in it and you just want to run a restrictor, I run most of all my stuff with no thermostat in it, period. And they always seem to maintain pretty well. You can do that too. So anyways, that is all the questions I got right now that we saw. Remember, we only got less than 2,000 people that have entered so far. So, excuse me, the odds are really good. So, $5 of every purchase goes to an entry. So, like a $25 shirt, that's 5 entries. All right. So, have fun. I thank you for all you guys. Appreciate all of you, and have a great day.